40 barge migrants convert to Christianity is the story. Clearly, this system is open to misuse.
Well, quite clearly is the point. I think there's about 140, 150 people on the Bibby Stockholm, so it's quite an extraordinary number of converts. And it's obviously a loophole. There are obviously soft areas here. Church of England priests, Roman Catholic priests are too quick to sign off these conversions because naturally they're priests, they want to see converts.
There's a conflict of interest there.
But there's a conflict of interest,
But
exactly.
I don't think they're keeping, like, a record of...
Well, the Roman Catholic Church in England and Wales says there is no central record of it. I think that is correct. I think it's kept within the diocese. But it should be easy to find. I mean, there should be, even within the church structure, there should be something that's signed. And the Church of England claims no knowledge of this conversion. So it is obviously a loophole. It does probably have to be tightened up. I would say, though, that we don't want to get into a situation where all religious conversions are signed off by the state. I think you need to have more, particularly with asylum seekers, particularly if they're on the Bibby Stockholm, I think there should be state oversight of it. But, you know, there is a reason why in governments around, free governments around the world, states do not authorise what religion you can convert to.
I mean, there's a system here, isn't there, Gina, that works in principle until it doesn't. And Abdul Zaidi is an example of the system not working. Obviously, as a religious person, a religious priest or a vicar, you might want to show compassion to people who are here, perhaps escaping horrendous situations at home. And you may be tempted to vouch for someone who you believe may have converted genuinely, or even if you don't believe they've converted genuinely, you might want to vouch for them anyway. And then you get a wrong one like Zaidi comes through, who's a sex offender and has committed that appalling, or allegedly committed that appalling attack that we saw in Clapham. And you're left with people with egg on their faces.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head there. He's a wrong one. Doesn't matter what his religion or where he came from. He's an evil person who's done something absolutely horrendous. But when it comes to the conversions, I mean, it strikes me as interesting that it's actually on the Bibby Stockholm, which is like a prison. Everyone says it's like a prison.
And people do convert in prison.
Well, people in prison not only convert, but they also try and find ways of gaming the system and scam so that they can actually, you know, avoid punishment or avoid being there. So, you know, these prison-like conditions seem to be spurning this sort of behaviour. But also, I think it's also a distraction from the fact that they shouldn't be there. You know, we should have a properly funded asylum system for safe and legal routes, and also a proper system that gets people processed properly. And if they're not here, if, like this individual, 3 times being, you know, caught or convicted of sex crimes, he shouldn't have been here. He shouldn't. The people of the UK should not have been exposed to him. So all of this is actually about systemic failures, rather than this evil person got through and he's evil.
But also,
just to be really clear, at this point, he is the suspect. He's not been convicted of anything.
He's a suspect.
But he's convicted of a sexual offence.
He's been convicted of other offences.
Just to be clear, on Wednesday, he's currently the suspect in the alleged crime there. Freddie, the problem is there is no test. There's no objective test that says, right, you have converted, you do hold this belief system or not. How do you work that out, really?
Well, there has to be a bit of faith in the sincerity of the convert, you're right. However...
But as we heard from Ivan Sampson, people will say anything if they're escaping a hellish situation and want to
I quite agree. I think that there has to be more oversight of this, maybe a longer amount of time shown to be a Christian. That would be one possible route out of this. I mean, I think the interesting thing is Yazidi, according to his friends, was apparently a good Muslim. Now, generally, good Muslims and good Christians don't go around trying to allegedly attack.
And they're talking about his more recent behaviour as well, buying halal meat.
And that he bought halal meat, etc. But what's interesting about that is in Islam, one of the greatest sins you can do in Islam is apostasy, is to abandon the faith. So, therefore, the fact that these people are doing that shows, and continuing to be a Muslim, shows a level of insincerity that needs to be cracked down on. I agree it's very difficult.
But also potentially makes them much more unsafe to go back to their home country, because even if they're pretending to convert to Christianity, they're at risk.
By the book they are, yeah.
Anyway.